we could see more video like this coming into the Weather Channel. It's in a lot of the same places. This is the past 24 hours, 2.5, you're talking baseball, apple-size hail, wind gusts to 70 miles an hour, and that's basically what we're going to see again today. So what's the setup? Well, we have got energy here. We've got a dip here. We got energy there. You got energy there. We have some energy here. We have another dip. That's going to be our next big weather maker coming across. We've got a little energy here. We got a little energy here. So there's lots of energy in the atmosphere, but it's all going to be moving from west to east. Why? Because that's the flow as you look in the upper levels and even in the mid levels. Everything's going from west to east. High pressure down here, that's helping move everything from west to east. So all these troughs and pieces of energy are going to be moving from west to east. How many times have I said that now in a row? I just want to make sure you get that in your head, because what you see to the west of you is headed in your direction. And what those little pieces of energy are, they're going to cause storms. And I'll tell you what, the winds are quite strong at 500 millibars. Also at the jet level, we don't really have a low-level jet in play here, but we do have enough shear in the atmosphere in order to cause a threat for tornadoes. We could see some of those big supercells of rotating thunderstorms. And if they don't put out a tornado, they can still put out winds over 75 miles an hour, hail 2 inches in diameter more. That is lime size, but we could see 3.5-inch hail, which would not be surprising. So you're talking bigger than a hockey puck, perhaps even softball size hail, which is 4 inches. And notice the updraft speed. So when you have a thunderstorm like this, you have updrafts and you have downdrafts. This updraft has to be at 100 miles an hour to keep that hail suspended to get big enough to be a softball. And by the way, when you're looking at a thunderstorm, you also have strong winds cutting through that, right? Say at 500 millibars, you have strong winds, so it can grab some of those winds and bring them down to the surface as well. And so you do get some of that strong wind energy getting down to the surface, and the hail eventually falls when the updraft isn't strong enough and the hail gets too big. Severe thunderstorm warning already here into Kansas. We'll see more of those today. We also have a few flash flood warnings this morning. We've got moisture. We've got some of that daytime heating. And as we go through the day, you'll see this first kind of cluster of storms fade out, and then everything kind of resets here as we head into the late afternoon, early evening hours with some of those stronger storms blowing into the plains. And it just continues because remember, I said we had that trough coming in from the west, so that's all going to continue to bring energy eastbound for us. That means we have also the threat for flooding for us. Denver, it really gets going as we head around 3 o'clock. Booyah, that's going to give you some strong winds here, 25, 70, and it continues into 9 p.m. Watch for hail in some of these storms as well as we head into tomorrow. And Jim, this is just all going to continue for us from Colorado to Kansas and points eastbound. Why? Because our flow is taking us from west to east.
I feel like I was watching Mad Money with Jim Cramer there for a second with the booyahs. Coming in. You know, Jim's big on the booyahs.
He is a big booyah guy.
Yeah, this is really kind of an amazing pattern here and how it sets up. And we get more active in time, too.
Get out the window. But that's impressive, right? 75 in Chicago, then after 30 minutes, 109. By the way, enjoy that in Chicago because things are about to get a lot hotter. I mean, like a lot hotter. It is hot right now, though, into the west, not only in the southwest, but all the way into the northwest, the 80s and 90s up there into Portland and Seattle. We're cool for the time being here in the Midwest and the plains. Remember, we have that little dip here and that piece of energy that's keeping us cool, cloudy, and wet. But that is going to change. We are going to see a trough come into the west that I've been mentioning. That cools us off. But where things go down, things must go up on the other end of the scale. That's just life in general. When you're talking about anything in life, right, where something goes down, there's always equal and opposite reaction. So the heat is coming into the plains as we head into our Sunday. Still hot and humid across the south, but that will be expanding because of this dip in the jet stream here, big ridge here. And so that high pressure is going to give us warmth and a lot of it. We're talking heat indices climbing above 100 all the way up into the Great Lakes for us. Now, our highs are going to be 10 to 20 degrees below average here into the west. So we go from literally the 90s to the 60s, 90s today to the 60s as we head over the weekend. So it'll be quite the shift. And then notice into Texas, we have extreme heat risk, otherwise major heat risk across a lot of the areas. And this heat risk actually takes a lot of different things into consideration for this time of year. It takes in daytime highs, also your nighttime temperatures, also the duration of those temperatures. And they also look at how this impacts the humans by looking at the CDC reports. So a lot of us are in this major impacts here, so stay hydrated in a cool place. Sensitive groups can get heat stress, be aware air quality, and then when we step it up to extreme, you have to also watch for the potential of power outages. Things in Detroit are going to be heating up as we head into next week, so enjoy the below average temperatures through the weekend. And as we head into July 3rd, which is next Friday, we stay warm here in the east and we stay cool in the west. Jordan.
All right. Well, there's so much more.
Oh, that is very true. Well, in today's Weather-Wise, we've partnered with Native to share some easy tips for keeping your skin feeling fresh and balanced. When humidity levels rise, your skin can start to feel sticky and uncomfortable. Staying hydrated, choosing a refreshing cleanser, and even adjusting your shower routine can help keep your skin fabulous this season. So let's have a look at this week's Skin Health Report, and we're going to start you off with humidity. I like having all that humidity on my skin, much better than the dry air that we have in the West that just, sucks everything out of you here. But that humidity, it might feel a little sticky and gooey, but it's good for you. Now, as we look at our dew points, just so you have an idea, when you have those dew point temperatures in the 50s, they get noticeable, but 60s and 70s, that's where it can get really, really tough. When it comes to humidity, you feel like you can cut the air with a knife. We will see more of that humidity continue tomorrow here in the eastern half of the country for us. And look at Hartford. Listen, this humidity is not that bad. It can get a lot worse, and it can get a lot worse even in Connecticut that far north. Biloxi, Mississippi, this is what we're talking about here. This is the kind that feels like you have to swim through it. It's so thick.
You see the big storms down there.
Those are big.
And we got a chance for all hazards, certainly. That comes into play. Not to mention, Steph, we could see some flood warnings with these.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you saw that all was headed over the Mississippi River Valley, into the Ohio River Valley. And these areas will get some rain, though the heaviest rain we're going to see will be on Friday. That's when we have kind of the bigger system coming in. But both the European and the GFS do show rain streaking across the area for us tomorrow through Saturday. Again, I think the bulk will be Friday and Saturday. A lot of these places have already had a lot of moisture, so we don't necessarily need it, but the spots that do need it won't necessarily get the majority of it. Notice from Nashville to Evansville to St. Louis, this is the soil moisture, the shallow layer, that's the top 4 inches. That's good to know for watering your lawns or for farmers when they're thinking about the root zone, the foundation of your house, construction crews. You could get dust pollution if they're doing any construction. So it's good to know that. And also just where we have drought conditions is obviously in the same area. And notice the heaviest rainfall, unfortunately, looks like it will be to the north where we've had plenty of it. So we are going to see boundary here, and we are going to see moisture. But we really don't get enough of that energy coming through to give us big heavy rain until we get into our Friday. But you'll see little pieces of energy coming through, which could lead to flooding. Notice Friday into Saturday. So we will see heavier rainfall as we head. Notice Thursday evening, you start to see it kind of nosing in. And then Friday, there you go. There's just that bigger batch of rain that's making its way in, hangs around as we head into our Saturday and spreads out as well, gets into the northeast Saturday morning. So this might put a little squash some of your plans that you have. St. Louis, notice Friday 90% for us, Saturday 60%, maybe a little more sunshine coming in. And DC, it's a Friday into Saturday thing. But hey, look at Sunday, looking good, only 82 degrees and sunshine. That's nice.
That is a 24 hours not to mess with here, Steph.
Yeah, I know, and all of that is moving east, so I want to continue that story into places like the Mississippi River Valley, the Ohio River Valley, where we are going to see some rain falling. You're talking 3 to 5 inches tomorrow through Saturday. Majority of this really coming in Friday and Saturday. The GFS has that rain in the same spots. But notice it's been wet the past 7 days in a lot of the same areas that we are going to get more rain on top of that, though it is dry. As we look at the shallow soil moisture, the top 4 inches, which is good to know where it's dry when it comes to watering your lawn, farmers when they're talking about root zone moisture. Also, if there's any sort of construction, you can get dust up, or maybe for the foundation of a house, all of those things you have to take in consideration. You got to think about the soil moisture. And of course, it's not just dry there right at the top, but we have drought conditions, and we'll get some rain, but it's just not going to be as much as we're going to get to the north, thanks in part to some upper level energy, some surface features as well, and then of course a surge of moisture that's getting pulled north. Look at all that's getting squeezed out of the atmosphere here with our boundary, and then those other pieces of energy will enhance the lift. Flash flooding, as I mentioned, Friday into Saturday is when we will get the most rain coming in. And we can show you it starting as we head into our Thursday, kind of early evening, and then really ramps up for our Friday. Continues as we head into our Saturday. So it's stretching all the way into the Northeast Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Getting up for a good bagel. Nothing like a good New York bagel. They make the best ones there. St. Louis, it's a stormy Thursday, Friday, and also into our Saturday. And we're also going to see a stretch here in D.C., but a beautiful one on Sunday.